Previously on Route 29 Stalker.
And then a few minutes later, I saw them going really slow in front of my house in the northbound lane. And they did a loop and came back around, and then they pulled into my driveway.
And then I was looking at the license plates, and I noticed that the license plates were 30-day tags. So I knew that it was nothing that I could write down or anything like that. But I did get the feeling that something wasn't right with this person doing this.
I mean, this guy, was ballsy enough to pull into my driveway, but he chickened out to come knock on my door. He sat in my driveway for like a minute, and then I guess he couldn't, get the courage to knock on my door, and he pulled out. So I'm just wondering, what if he did knock on my door? What was he going to do?
Well, that's on this same road was where the mechanic that when you first turn on the road, there's a mechanic that lives right there, but he had that same type of truck for sale for the longest time.
This episode may contain content that is disturbing to some viewers. Discretion is advised.
Two decades, 10,189 leads, and Virginia State Police say they are still looking for the man who tried to stop 20 or more women on the highway.
In that region over the past 2 decades was found murdered in Culpeper. It's been over 20 years since St. Cloud native Julie Williams and Lolly Winans of Unity, Maine were found murdered in the Virginia
horrific crime, a particularly grisly crime.
They called the killer the Route 29 Stalker.
From O3 Films at Watts Creative Studios, this is the Route 29 Stalker, and I'm your host, Woody Graham Watts. So far on this podcast, we have solely focused on the Route 29 Stalker's first alleged victim, Alicia Showalter Reynolds, and we're not leaving her behind. In fact, from this episode on, the events that happened could make her case a part of something even darker. To show you just how this area was turned upside down in 1996, I have to tell you about the next series of events. And they happened shortly after Alicia's body was found, and not that far from Culpeper. These events would ensure that the Route 29 Stalker's nickname would never be forgotten. These events would lead to more unsolved cases, more crimes against women, and it doesn't even end there. And I believe you'll begin to see just how all of these cases are connected, and why there needs to be attention brought to these again. There are way too many families affected by this killer, and have had no closure after 20 years. And they could still be out there, should scare us all. I have to warn you though, the details in this next case are graphic, so please be advised.
On May 24th, 1996, Julian Williams and Lolly Winans started backpacking in the Shenandoah National Park around 5:30 p.m. Later that week, their dog was found wandering alone in a nearby campsite. It was assumed to be lost. Then, on May 31st, Julian's father reported them missing. A search party found their campsite the next day. Lonnie was found in the tent. She was gagged and her hands tied with duct tape. Her legs were bound with a pair of thermal underwear. She was partly undressed, but there was no indication of sexual assault. The duct tape gag had previously been used to bind Julian's hands. Julian was found in her sleeping bag, 75 feet from the tent, and her hands bound with duct tape. Her legs were not bound, and she did not appear to have been sexually assaulted, but there was suggestion that she was tortured. Both women died by having their throats slashed with a knife.
link to that account from the hook is on route29stalker.com. Think about it. Just months earlier, a guy calling himself Larry Breeden began pulling over at least 23 women on Route 29. Then Alicia disappeared, and witnesses said she too had been pulled over by the Route 29 stalker. And as we already know, her body was found several weeks later in a place called Lignum, close to Route 29. Then, Thursday, May 30th, Tom and Patsy Williams of St. Cloud, Minnesota, got a call from Julie's roommate. Julie hadn't shown up to help the roommate, an old friend, clean their apartment before they moved out. The Williamses notified the Park Service early the next morning. That's when they were discovered, with the details you heard earlier. After doing a simple Google Maps search, you can see just how close it is to Route 29 and in the same area. And while this didn't involve being pulled over by a guy calling himself Larry Breeden in a dark pickup truck, we will soon learn just how connected they are. In fact, a suspect emerges. A suspect that would be linked to not only Julianne and Lolly's murders, but the attack against Carmelita from episode 2 as well. My conversation with John, a former CSI, everything is relevant. And as we go over the details in their murders, he wasn't lying.
If you are calling to report a bank robbery or kidnapping, press 2. For Spanish, press 3. If you are requesting applications for employment or to receive general applicant information, press 4. If you know your party's extension, press 5. If you wish to speak to someone in the news media office, press 6.
FBI.
Yes, I was wondering if there was any way I could talk with Mr. Adam Lee.
In reference to?
Called yesterday. They said to call back today. We are doing a podcast, and it was about the Route 29 stalker cases back in 1996. And Mr. Lee did a great interview talking about the case of Julianne and Lolly that happened in the Shenandoah National Park. And I was just wondering if he would be available or open to do just a quick interview about that and how the investigation is still going on.
Okay, let me switch you to our media rep.
Okay.
And then you can ask her that question. Okay?
All right, perfect.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Hi, this is Dee Rubisky, Public Affairs Specialist for the Richmond Division of the FBI. I am currently out of the office. If you need media assistance, please call our switchboard at 804-261-1044 and ask to be switched to my relief. Otherwise, leave a brief message and I will call you back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for calling Shenandoah National Park, home of Skyline Drive. If you're calling to report an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. If you know the 4-digit extension of the person you are calling, you may enter it at any time. Most park information can be found online at www.nps.gov/shen. Please listen to the following 5 categories for more information. For information about park facilities, including the status of Skyline Drive, press 1. For information about camping, press 2. For information about lodging, press 3. For general information such as park activities and ranger programs, hiking opportunities, park fees, or to have information mailed to you, press 4. For the latest update on fall colors, press 6. Please note that this phone is monitored Monday through Friday from 8:15 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. It is not monitored on holidays. You may reach an operator at any time by pressing 0. For questions other than these, please leave your phone number and a brief message.
Wait while I transfer your call.
Good afternoon, Shenandoah National Park.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Good, you?
I'm doing well. I have a bit of...
Yeah, I think my first thought, I'm the person who answered the phone. My first thought would be, I know I saw the chief ranger here earlier today. He may still be in the building. He may not be, if he's not out in the park. Now, he was not here in 1996.
Sure.
But, and as far as I know, the case is officially still open.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Because it's not been solved. So that he would probably be the best person off the top of my head. If I can put you on hold for a minute, and actually, let me try and transfer you directly to his office.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
And you can speak with him or leave a message with him, and and that's probably your best. Let me make sure I get the right extension here.
That would be great. Now, and just out of curiosity, were you in the area during that time? Like you?
I was.
Oh, you were?
Yeah,
okay. Do you remember?
Right now, I'm a volunteer. Oh, I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lolly Winans, Julianne Williams. Yeah. No, it was heartbreaking. I worked here at the time, and obviously I still Lolly Winans, Julianne Williams, and it was heartbreaking then, and I do still think of them, and I know the other folks that worked with me at that time. I am sure they can conjure up, they can not just conjure their names, but the idea that two young women, and in the case of Miss Showalter too. I mean, young women whose lives were cut short far too soon. Yeah, they were in a very special. It's a place that's special to us, and yeah.
As you can see, getting people to talk about these cases isn't an easy task. With every person we have participate, there are 5 more that declined. In fact, we actually have some help coming soon in this area that we're really excited about. You'll find out more about that in the next episode. However, the people that do share have been amazing, and we are humbled by their trust in us. And the more and more we dive into Julianne and Lolly's case, it becomes so clear that this podcast needs to be much more than a form of storytelling. It needs to help. It needs to make people aware of these cases again. And because of you listening and telling your friends, that's what's happening. It's creating an environment where people are comfortable talking about it. And hopefully, new information is being revealed. The number we have set up at 252-987-4362 has become a source for people to share their thoughts and help us in the process and be a part of the podcast. And like you'll find out from a recent call, we aren't the only ones with some questions.
I was just listening to your latest episode called Roadblock, and I really think you've stumbled onto something with this, the last seconds of the episode. I live in Richmond, and anyway, when the media here led us to believe that the people that were responsible for the Richmond spree murders, Ricky Gray and Ray Dandruff, definitely was the pair that murdered, but I didn't know till recently that was not the case. When I was looking at some other deaths in Culpeper on the internet, looking around. Like I said, I just assumed that pair was responsible. So now, when you start researching her, I'm sure you'll get into a huge rabbit hole, just like I did, of very unusual deaths in Culpeper, all unsolved.
For more information about this podcast and what we've found regarding the Route 29 stalker, visit route29stalker.com, route29stalker.com. As we investigate this, we will be releasing all the information we gather on this website. We also have discussion boards. Thanks for listening. Meet us back here for the next episode.